It has been known unto me by an angel that the spirits of all men, as soon as they are departed from this mortal body, yea, the spirits of all men, whether they are good or evil, are taken home to that God who gave them life. And then shall it come to pass that the spirits of those who are righteous are received into a state of happiness, which is called paradise, a state of rest, a state of peace, where they shall rest from all their troubles and from all care and sorrow.
Gerald Edward Oring was born on June 9, 1932 to Ezra and Mary Oring at their home in Lincoln, Nebraska. He attended school in Lincoln and graduated from Lincoln High School in 1950. After graduation from the University of Nebraska with a Bachelor of Science, he served in the United States Army as a military policeman in Germany. He was honorably discharged from active duty in 1956. In 1952, Jerry married the love of his life, Sally Seek. From this union came 4 children: Gerald Oring Jr., Cindy Novinger, Sherry Harper, and Meg Truitt. There are 8 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Jerry was a public school teacher and later an administrator for many years. He served as principal at Elliott and Huntington schools. Jerry said that he loved every day of his career and the lives he touched, but when he retired, he never looked back. Probably one of the defining attributes in his life was his association with the Community of Christ Church, where he served as a priest, elder, high priest, evangelist, pastor, and in several other capacities. For a span of years, he took great joy in his work as a tour guide at the church historical site in Nauvoo, where he combined his love of history with his love of teaching. When he wintered in Mesa, Arizona, he was very instrumental in implementing the Young Peacemaker program, again combining his passion for church and his love of educating youth. The church and its members were continuously in his thoughts. Jerry had a wonderful connection with his grandchildren and had a knack of making each of them feel like the most important person in the world. An editorial note, they are. He loved to be a part of their lives and relished the time spent with them in sports, band, church plays, wherever. He could not get enough. He loved spending winters in Arizona, where he would explore the Wild West, see his grandchildren, and yes, be with his church friends there. He loved gathering the family in Arizona for Christmas. There are many fond memories of time spent together. Jerry passed away peacefully October 9, 2017. He is survived by his wife of 65 years, Sally Oring, four children, Gerald and Lori Oring Jr., Cindy and Bill Novinger, Sherry and Craig Harper, and Meg and Tom Truitt. His sister Carol, Larry, and Larry Hillis, brother-in-law John and Barbara Seek, as well as 8 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and many more friends and family. Jerry is greatly missed.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Curtis, for reading one of Jerry's favorite scriptures that he always used at memorial services. And that's the scripture that gives us all hope as well. Jerry was a really good writer, and we have pulled a little bit of his writings that Cindy and Meg are now going to read.
These are excerpts from a couple of the Christmas letters that he wrote to his family and friends. The very last paragraph in my favorite Christmas book, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Barbara Robinson, reads this way: As we came out of the church that night, it was cold and clear, with crunchy snow underfoot and bright, bright stars overhead. And I thought about the angel of the Lord, Gladys, with her skinny legs and her dirty sneakers sticking out from under her robe, yelling at all of us from everywhere, "Hey, unto you a child is born." As the numbers in the age column in every form I fill out gets larger and larger, this paragraph is even more meaningful. Those same numbers remind me of how blessed my life has been because of that child, our family, and your presence in it. I am so proud of my children and my grandchildren, and so appreciative of the marvelous friends that have graced my life.
Christmas is communion. There's just something sacred about family. Christ, mine, yours, coming together around the common table to remember, proclaim, and celebrate the gift of God's Son. But sometimes we cannot join at the table. This is the case this year for our family. Our family is a circle of strength and love. With every birth and every union, the circle grows. Every joy shared adds more love. Every crisis faced together makes the circle stronger. May the peace of Christ give you love, hope, and joy. In the Christmas carol, Bob Cratchit says grace over a meager meal with these words. Lord, we thank you for the bounty you have placed before us. We thank you for days of love and joy, for allowing us to be together, to share with each other and with your fullness of our hearts on this special day. Even in this poverty and crumbly job, Bob has joy, hope, love, and peace because of the blessing of God's gift and the blessing of his family with him to celebrate their special day.
Thank you. And some people think I just have one sister. I've got a couple more. To me, those words, I can hear Jerry's voice. And if you would like to reread those, see Meg or Cindy. Really beautiful. And I can hear his voice in it. A big job that Jerry had was being a grandpa. And so we're going to hear from one of the grandsons, Austin Harper, a little bit about his story with Grandpa.
I'm not going to apologize for tearing up because it's what I do. Thanks, Dad, for those jeans. You're welcome. I don't know many of you, but all of you knew my grandpa. He was your friend. He was mine too. He always, in fact, he always greeted me with, "How are you doing, my friend?" I always thought that was unique. Seeing you at your 65th wedding anniversary was special. We shared a short conversation that day, and despite your kids debating where to put things, you didn't care. You were happy and content. You were with your friends. You were with your best and favorite friends. So turn this down. When I saw you last week, I shook your hand, and although you were soft-spoken, you greeted me again with, "It's good to see you, my friend." I replied back with, "I love you, man." He was more than a grandpa to me. He was my friend, fan, my mentor, my minister, my jokester, my fellow Husker fan, and my Disneyland ride partner. Death is part of life. We've all dealt with it in different capacities. As humans, we were differently depending on how close we were. Losing Grandpa has been my hardest loss. I, like many of you, feel void love. By our special friend, Jerry. I will never replace that void. However, I will continue to fill my life with loving friendships, adventure, and passion for life as he did. Take care, man. I miss you, my friend.
Thank you, Austin. I want to make sure that you know that on the back of your bulletin, there was a poem that was written for Jerry just a couple of days ago from his very long friend, Sally Push, who lives in Mesa but used to live in the Omaha area. So I want to make sure that you have a chance to read that. So how will we remember Jerry? Our husband, our dad, our grandpa, our friend. Here are a few reasons why he will be thought of, kept close, and the sting of his absence will lessen. When you teach a child how to pray and how to read, you can think of Jerry. He can be remembered when you walk the streets of Tombstone, Arizona, one of his favorite places, or when you read a book about the Old West, or watch a Western, or explore ghost towns. You can think of Jerry when you are in your 80s and you can't wait to learn, to study, pray, and teach. You can think of Jerry when you observe someone who is the smartest person in the room and is not a know-it-all. Jerry was the smartest person in most of my rooms. When you experience love in relationships, in worship, in nature, in music, Jerry will be there in your heart. If you see a t-shirt or anything with the likeness of Grumpy, one of Snow White's dwarfs, his favorite, you can think of Jerry. If you enjoy putting on a Halloween mask to scare the little kids that are trick-or-treating, he can be thought of then too. If you are needing Civil War trivia answers, church history answers, or answers to the Huskers from the 50s to now, you can look up the answers yourself, and then you can think of Jerry. If you are asked to pray for or with someone, and you say yes, think of Jerry. He always said yes. If you are asked to visit someone or a family, if you are asked to help out with a church or community service or project, and you say yes, you can think of Jerry. If you are generous with your time, talent, and treasure, you have something in common with Jerry. You see, Jerry is not going completely away. And the everlasting gift of life, the everlasting gift of memory, you will have unlimited opportunities to bring him close to you when you need to, because he can be everywhere. And I've asked Larkin Powell to share a little bit about his story with Jerry.
Thanks. Morning, everyone. Kelly and I have only known Jerry and Sally and the family for 16 years since we've moved here. And so to me, he's always been this fatherly mentor figure in the congregation. I'm going to just share two quick things. Some of you know that if we were to scope the theology from conservative to liberal, I'm somewhere over past the liberal stage. And when I moved here, I heard him say a prayer, and he didn't end it with amen. He said, may it ever be so. And most of you know that that's the way that he ended most of his prayers, if not all of them. And I just thought that was the coolest thing, that somebody would have the fortitude to just forget this amen stuff, and we're going to rewrite that. And so for a few years I tried to do that, and then I got to officiate my brother's wedding a couple years ago in Boston. And so we went there, and most of the people there were not our family at the rehearsal dinner, and they had me give the prayer. And I ended the prayer before the dinner at the rehearsal we were all standing. I sat down. Kelly kind of sat down. Everybody else stayed standing. They were waiting for the amen. And eventually one of the more evangelical folks in the crowd, I think, just said amen very loudly, and everybody sat down. I came back a few weeks later, and I told Jerry, finally I had the guts to tell him the story, and he just looked at me and he said, well, not everybody's ready for that. And I think it was his general way of saying, you have to pick when you're going to use that. But it was very nice. The other thing that I'll always remember about him is a few years ago, I wrote a little book of poetry and prose and published it. And there's not a whole lot of people in the world that have read that book. But Jerry actually came up to me after church one day and asked if he could borrow a copy of that because he wanted to take it home. And about a month later, he brought it back. And he handed it to me, and he didn't say that he liked them. He didn't say, those are really touching or anything. He just looked at me as he handed it back to me, and he said, I think I know you a lot better now. And I'm going to agree with Austin that I think, the biggest thing he wanted to be was our friend, and he did want to know us. And I think that's the way I'll always remember him.
Larkin also had told me that when Larkin takes this place and has a sermon or a message, he felt he often was just having a conversation during that sermon with Jerry, which I think is really neat, and tells something about your friendship with each other. Back in the 1970s, the Omaha Council Bluffs Stake had a very active priest quorum. Jerry Orange shared in the leadership of that quorum, which I became a part of after my ordination. We met often to share worship and learn. I still remember when several of us would pile into a car and drive to Omaha for our meetings. Lots of great conversations on the 1-hour trip each way. My appreciation of Jerry began long before that with his thoughtful ministry in the Lincoln congregation. And I attended here as a college student. I am still grateful for the formative experiences that Jerry provided. And I look back with deep appreciation for the encouragement he provided to me as a young minister. And prayers are with Sally and Jerry, Sherry, Cindy, and Meg, and the rest of the family. Jim Doty. more thing. This is Jerry's writing. Jerry read the newspaper. In fact, when I became a part of the family, just a hair before Tim was born, he was always reading the paper. And I thought that was just so great. I just never took time to read it. So I've learned a few things as simple as reading the paper. This is what he found in the paper, and he didn't feel that the author had the whole story, so he wrote a rebuttal. The newspaper article regarding these two people, Joy and Joe, moved in to just a normal, ordinary house. Just another house in the town. They moved there, they had a wonderful life there, and then they moved because it was going to be torn down. And they were happy and sad about that. But Jerry wasn't satisfied that that article was complete, because it wasn't just another house. Before 501 South 48th Street became just another house, waiting for Joy and Joe to convert it into a home for themselves and Joy's siblings, it was home for an elementary school principal dad, a Cub Scout leader mom, a son, 3 daughters, all loved and celebrated. We remember the dog run behind the garage where Layman, our son's dog, would survey the yard. Perched up in the crook of the cherry tree, he would also keep an eye on the white picket fenced garden where, after years of pampering and care, the yard finally became hospitable for food production. We remember the little rubber wading pool, the used swing set, the picnic table. The parties, the holidays, the family celebration of Nebraska Centennial, the lump in the throat when the decision to sell was finally discussed. You see, this rather ordinary house possessed a family spirit, which Joy and Joe soon discovered. Each of our family of 6 would frequently drive out of their way so we might check to see what was happening to our old home. We often expressed the wish to go through the house just one more time. We just put off requesting this favor a little too long. You can't imagine the shock. We had just checked out the old place yesterday, and today there was nothing but a hole. We also remember the sadness of selling, but also the happiness for the young couple about to launch a special family in our old house. It had been 16 years before that we too had been a young couple, moving into our first home at 501. Bringing 3 preschoolers from our 2-bedroom walk-up apartment. How similar and how fun. It was here also that our whole family learned the joy and closeness of neighbors working on a common cause. It was called SOS, Save Our Street. As a family, we became community conscious. The whole family passed out petitions, placed signs, put ribbons on trees, and generally became one of the early community organizers to go toe-to-toe with the city council. Most of all, we cherished a family, a home, and a life well lived in just another house. Don't you love that? And we can all find commonality with it. Let's learn from it together. So the bulletin says that Jerry's friends can share. So this is a time that if you would like to share with each other a short story or two about your friendship and relationship with Jerry, now is the time to do that. And Doug in the back will have a traveling mic for you, and he'll make sure he gets that to you. Leroy.
Well, is it on?
It's on.
Can you hear? Oh, okay.
I can hear you.
All right, good. Jerry was a special brother and friend in Christ to me for many, many years. And years ago, before Jerry was a minister in our church, calls come in our congregation, for some of you maybe don't know that, the pastor processes when he feels that a call is necessary to the priesthood with somebody, well, then he presents that to the stake president, and that call is done. And so I had a special experience. I was the pastor of this church, and I had a special experience of Jerry's call. And none of our ministers, as far as I know, we don't smoke. And I had remembered that Jerry smoked. I never saw him smoke, but I heard that he did. So I called his mother Mary to see if he was still smoking, because I had a special experience of his call. And Mary said, "Oh no, he hasn't smoked for years." Well, he hid it from his mother, because when I went to visit Jerry to tell him about his call, I was a little intimidated, because he was a lot more educated than me and everything else, and I just, even to go there and to talk to him, I felt kind of intimidated. And so I told Jerry about his call to priest, and he says, "Well, Leroy, I still smoke. I put her drop my teeth. I didn't know just for a minute what to say." And I said, "Well, Jerry, I guess it would hinge on you quitting that." And he says, "Well, listen, Leroy, my family's been on me for years to quit smoking, so today is the day I quit." And he did. He quit. And that was a quite exceptional experience. And then he also, I had called him when they were living in the South, and he came up here and did my wife's funeral, which I just really appreciate. He did a marvelous job for my wife's funeral. And I gotta just say one other thing about Jerry. I spent a lot of years in class with him, in adult class. And we differed on some situations, and that was for sure, and he never hesitated to let me know when there was a difference in our opinions, you know. But we loved each other like brothers, and I will miss Jerry, that's for sure.
Good morning, church. My name is Joni Rich, and I retired from teaching a couple of years ago. And Jerry, I was honored to have him come to my retirement party. And we had a moment to talk, and we came to a realization that there was one thing that we both took great pride and great pleasure in, and that was the fact that he hired me. You know, and as I sat here and listened to the stories of love and compassion, Jerry brought that to a school that was a struggling school. And knowing that the kind of person he was, that he touched those children, and he touched my heart, because we had that same philosophy of love and caring for those who were in need. So I think about Jerry quite often, and, you know, as I had my teaching career, and I'll miss him.
Thank you very much.
My name is Sam. I first met Jerry as my elementary school principal at Huntington School. I had kind of a rough childhood, and Jerry kind of took me under his wing. And he became like a surrogate father to me. He's a very wonderful man, loved him very much. But I was always fascinated with his frogs. I would make it a point to come up with an excuse to have to go see him just so I could sit there and count the frogs and see if he had any more frogs. So he'll be greatly missed.
Thank you.
I'm Carla, and I'm the senior living consultant at where Jerry and Sally lived at Park Cherry. And when I first met them, I thought,